Today we're here to do a TBR.
Yes, we are.
After not successfully completing the last one, which
we're gonna
is not
successfully complete this one too.
Well,
it inspires me to put more on here. That I'm like, I dream a dream.
Hey, it's good to dream.
In time gone by.
Exactly.
When
it's great,
hopes
it's
were
good to
high
dream,
and books were worth reading at the time.
Books are always worth reading, but as you guys know by now, our TBRs generally tend to just be like the books we aspire to get read that month.
Right.
Maybe, or the most
Tis a dream.
or we're the most interested in reading that month, pretty much. In my case, there are 3 different things that I'm going to be trying to participate in May, which is overly ambitious, but somehow I managed to make it so that most of my books fit for 2 of the 3 things, which is pretty cool. So the first thing is Medievalathon. Yes. Oh, and all the information about all of these things will be linked down below. Medievalathon is the first, and it's happening the whole month. And then there is the Asian Readathon, which is also happening the whole month. And then there is the Tome Topple Readathon, which is happening from May 9 to May 22nd.
Woo! That's a lot.
So there's a lot of info. They all have a lot of prompts. We're not going to go into the prompts by Readathon because that would take a little too much time. Instead, I'll just tell you what books I'm reading and tell you where they apply. So we're going to start with 2 ebooks that I plan on tackling, which both happen to be adult contemporary romance books. So the first one is East in Paradise, and that one is by Tiff Marcello. It is the second in her sort of food truck romance.
Ooh, food truck
Well,
romance.
the first one was a food truck romance. The second one is not quite that. So it is a companion novel to the first in that the main heroine, Bryn, was the hero's cousin in the first book. So in the second book, she has had experience managing a restaurant. She wants to sort of do her own thing, and so she wants to open like this sort of like retreat type place. The catch is she had an investor, but the investor backed out, and now she's managed to snag the interest of someone who wants to do sort of like a reality show type situation thing. On the business side, all good, all great.
Oh,
the problem is that she kind of has to fake a romance, you know, to hook the viewers and stuff.
And that is a time-honored, like, this is a pretend thing.
Yeah,
but
it's gonna be great.
But is it really, though, at one point?
It's gonna be great. I can't wait. I can't wait. So that one will apply only to the Asian Readathon. There is a prompt that says read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author that you relate to. Tiff Marcello is Filipino. Her main character is also Filipino, so that's gonna be fun. The second ebook that I'm reading is going to be Cover Story Girl by Chris Mariano. This one is about this girl who's basically in Boracay trying to escape creditors who are hounding her because her dad has a huge debt. And she kind of crosses paths with this dude who has no idea what the heck is going on in her life, and he keeps just having to bail her out and, you know, help her with stuff, and he's trying to figure out why or what's going on with her. And it sounds like it's going to be really fun. It's a romance class book, which is something that the Filipino like author community has put together specifically for romance, but they're very supportive of all sorts of authors. And that one is for Medievalathon. It will apply to a category that says a book title that begins with a C, which gives me a cat companion. The third ebook that I am tackling is The Poppy War, which is by R.F. Kuang. I actually know nothing more about this one except for this very basic bare bones fact that is about an orphan who passes a test and gets to go to this exclusive military school only to discover that her powers might be the thing that shift the tide in this war that's pretty much looming over all of them. It sounds really epic. I've heard it's really brutal because it's actually based on or inspired by a real event in Chinese history, so that should be interesting to tackle. So this one is going to be applicable to Medievalathon because something pointy on the cover. There's a bow on there.
Pointy.
That gives me a sword.
That's cute.
And the Asian Readathon, it applies to read a book recommended by an Asian. So I have a few friends that I can think of off the top of my head. There's Jane from Happy Indulgent, Amy from A Court of Crowns and Quills. They really like that book. And a whole lot of other people really like that book too. It also will apply to the Tome Topple Readathon because it is over 500 pages, and that's the one I'm picking for adult tome. And then I will also be reading Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is actually my sister's book. I just kind of borrowed it. In one line, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a riveting novel that traces the intertwined fates of the picture-perfect Richardson family and the enigmatic mother and daughter who upend their lives. I am reading this one for the Asian Readathon because this is the group book. This is also applicable to the Medievalathon for a tall hardcover, which gives me a horse. This is very important information, guys. This is actually the group book for the Asian Readathon, like I said, but they're also actually going to be watching the TV show that's on Hulu with Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington.
Yeah.
And then also for the Asian Readathon, and just for that one, we have The Silence of Bones by Junhur, which actually came out. This is still an arc, though. This is a historical fiction novel set in Korea, and it is about a girl who is indentured to the police and ends up teaming up with this police inspector to sort of investigate a series of murders of nobles, and then when the inspector gets framed, it's up to her to try and figure out who is really behind the murders, even though technically she's a female, and at the time that was not something they did.
Very interesting.
So this one will apply to the read a book featuring an Asian character or written by an Asian author who is different from you. I think I'm going to stop there for my first section.
That's a good place to take a break. So you know me, I'm all about the digital life these days. Got me my new Kindle. It's this gorgeous, I just love it. It's my thing. On that note, I would really like to get back to, and again, since this is aspirational, I really do want to get back to my Naomi Novik books, specifically the TBR ones, right? So we've got League of Dragons and Blood of Tyrants. I'm pretty sure I've started one of these. I forget which one, but whichever one came next. And it's deep into the TBR series. I think this is probably books 8 and 9 or 7 and 8 thereabouts, right? Yeah. I do not read historical fiction unless they have dragons in them. And apparently. That's really what this is. This was at the time of the Napoleonic War. In this one, the whole world has been raising dragons as part of like a thing. And Temeraire, a Chinese celestial dragon, it's still unseen to the whole world. The Chinese are very protective of their celestials, right? Yeah. Because they're tied to the throne, that kind of deal. For whatever reason, hatches for a lowly British sailor. And that's really where Temeraire's story begins. It's suddenly now, Temeraire has become His Majesty's dragon.
Which I love.
Which is just the greatest thing. And dragons are sentient here. They have their thoughts, feelings, complex thoughts and feelings. They're not like, some of them could sort of be a little less like, smart, but some humans are too. The war isn't over yet. Like, they haven't defeated Napoleon. I don't know what's going on anymore. They've been all over the world.
I'm sure you'll remember.
Yeah, it's a thing. Anyway. So there's that. Love to get back to that series. I am going to try to go back to Beautiful Creatures because Alexa basically...
Are you going to reread the first one?
I might have to because I don't really remember... Well, I kind of do because I may have watched the movie more than once.
It's not the same though. There's a lot of stuff.
It's exactly. It's not the same. There's a lot of different things. But the general like progression of events was there.
Yeah. I mean, if you remember how it ends, that's all.
Exactly. And I do. But the drama of like the little loose ends that they begin to sort of explore for the second book, right? Like for example, what does it mean to be sort of spoilery? Like whatever happened at the end, what does it mean for the character?
Mm-hmm.
That is.
What does it mean for both of those characters? Actually,
for both of those characters, there's that. So there's that. I'm still technically under the Reordenathon. Read Uncle Rick is what Alexa lovingly calls it, and I think it too.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It really does. And I'm thinking of just finally finishing Magnus Chase. Finally. Which means I really just have to read the second book, Hammer Thor, and then the Ship of the Dead. This has been sitting in my Kindle for like literal years now. Okay. But now that I've actually read Holly Black's books, and now that I've actually read everything Cassandra Clare, sometimes more than once. Yeah, I think they heard me. You know, there is no pretense here. Cassandra Clare and Holly Black actually have a middle grade thing called the Magisterium series, and it starts with the Iron Trial. And it didn't really sit with me because I thought, oh, okay, Cassandra Clare, I read Cassandra Clare, this looks pretty cool. That was the time that I sort of like, well, I'm done with the Shadowhunters forever, and just never looked back. And then City of Heavenly Fire came out.
It would be really fun,
right? And then City of Heavenly Fire came out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not the garbage fire that I thought it would be, and it's amazing. But, etc., etc.
But also.
But also, you've all heard of our opinions, because we're Shadowhunters, garbage, basically. And finally, pièce de résistance, the crowning moment of my current collection right now is Dawn of X, 4, 5, and 6. 3, 4, 5, I'm into the middle of 3, 4, 5, and 6. My god, it collects, I think, the first TVVs of several series, but they just sort of like put them chronologically. I think this is the first time that they've done a series of, because they usually have like one giant omnibus, and it's different series happening in chronological orders, so every issue 1, every issue 2, or they sort of sell everything sort of separately. So this is X-Men, this is Marauders, this is New Mutants, this is whatever. Here they collect all of it in volumes, so you see the whole picture sort of like peripherally, and it's kind of cool. Interesting. And some of it doesn't make sense, some of it does. I'm pretty excited for X-Force because they they shoot a lot of things and kill a lot of people, and that's always like the fun trademark there, and that hasn't changed. So there's that. Special mention before we turn it over as we go back to printed media land. Since Alexa is halfway through, we decided to buddy read mythology class.
Kind of buddy read.
Kind of. I say kind of because she's gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna be left behind. It's a graphic novel by Arnold Ada. He's a Filipino artist. This is the 20th anniversary edition, which some of you may have seen from our halls. It's gorgeous. Alexa sort of knows what's going on right now.
I know, there's
like art in the back, and she like totally knows what this is now. It's a story about a bunch of college kids who get a leaflet that says come to the mythology class, and then their destiny unfolds as actual global destiny with like the end of the world begins to unfold as well, and they take their place in it, which is a really, really cool me and my friends save the world kind of story, and maybe fall in love. We don't know. We don't know. Alexa go find out though. So
I know, I'm almost there. Okay, back to my overly ambitious reading pile for me.
Your overly ambitious reading pile?
Yes.
You're actually going to read this stuff, whilst
Please, I didn't even read the last like 3 TBRs we had.
Aspirations.
Anyway,
okay, cool.
We're gonna start by talking about a duology. The first one will be a reread. The second one will be a first-time read. So we have Rebel Soul and Rogue Heart, which are both by Axio. Let me just read to you. It says Pacific Rim meets Korean action drama. That's what it is. So it's like sort of Pacific Rim meets City Hunter, if you've ever seen that one. Ooh, that's kind of what it is.
Nice reference.
Jaewon is the main character in this one. He gets assigned to be part of this special like group of soldiers who work with super soldiers that were engineered in order to control these big, giant machines. But he finds himself questioning a lot of things about the super soldiers and the program that they're in, the further like he gets to know the person he's paired up with. So that's the plot of Rebel Soul.
Are they drift compatible? Sorry.
And then this one is a companion novel that takes place a couple of years later, and it is about another super soldier that we sort of meet in the first book. And this one involves more of like a spy type thing, because she's trying to infiltrate as a rebel. She's trying to infiltrate like the military structure and government, only to encounter someone that she may or may not have loved and who betrayed her. So
very well.
She has to try to keep her identity a secret, but also dig out all their secrets. It's gonna be a thing. Those 2 books are going to apply for the Medievalathon. There is a category for start or finish a duology. So if I read those 2 books, duology done, I get my daggers, which very important. It also applies to the Asian Readathon for read a book by any Asian author. All right, now we're gonna get to the more interesting part. This is like one of those things where it just worked out that these books ended up on my TBR.
It just worked, yeah.
It really did. So the first one is Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff.
Finally,
and I'm sure Matthew can probably tell you what it's about because he's read it.
Magnificently, yes. Illuminate is the story of a colony of humans on a specific planet, and they're sort of like a mining kind of, whatever, you know, just doing their thing as settlers, and have to evacuate because a giant-ass conglomerate is sort of like doing a weird hostile-ass takeover, and they want to eliminate the evidence. And if that wasn't bad enough, the AI on the computer comes alive and sort of becomes like 2001 Space Odyssey, like just goes full on hell and goes crazy on them. And it's great. The main character is like
a hacker, right?
A hacker, and she's magnificent. What I love about the Illuminate kind of series is very strong female characters.
I have wanted to read Illuminate for a while because I know Maki really loves it, and then my friend Hannah from So Obsessed With really loves it. She really loved the audiobooks, which I actually also haven't had the audiobook for this one, so that'll be fun for me to read it and also listen to it at the same time, which I think will be interesting. So this one will apply to the orange on the dust jacket category for Medievalathon, which gives me a pet fox. Because, you know, priorities.
By the way, I have not heard the details of Medievalathon, but from what I can tell right now, every book you read grants your medieval character certain things. So you got your daggers, you got your pointy things.
You got your weapons, you get your companion, you get your outfit. And then you also get your rank. This also will apply for the Tome Topple Readathon because it will be my Tome audiobook. Obviously, unsurprisingly, the next book that I'm going to talk about is Gemina, which is a sequel to Illuminate. Don't want to know anything about it. I know it's a companion, doesn't follow the same 2 main characters.
However, it does happen in the same universe, and the events of Gemina happen right after the events of Illuminate, and or concurrently. The cool thing about these books is that they are told from the perspective of surveillance cameras, chat transcripts, eyewitness accounts that have been transcripted, as though they were a dossier presented to support the evidence that evil corporation is being terrible cost space. So,
it will apply also to the Tome Topple Readathon, tome that's part of a series, clearly, and also work for Medievalathon for a shiny book. The last book on my TBR, surprise, it's Obsidio, because why not complete the series while I'm at it?
These books are basically, we got the receipts on the evil corporation, and we bringing you down in court.
So this one will apply for Medievalathon. It's gonna apply for a pristine book. So this one's actually in pretty good condition considering it has been with us for a year.
And look at how pretty this like, so if you take the dust jacket off, look at how gorgeously silvery.
That gets me a pretty dress. So, right? You know, priorities.
So, and then of course, because a lot of that stuff is redacted and it's all like shiny and stuff.
Yeah.
So very
and it
pristine.
also applies for the Tome Topple Readathon because it just says read one tome, and all of these books are over 500 pages, so
very
I'm
tomey.
good to go. Those are all the books that we plan to read in May, or aspire to read in May.
Aspire
Honestly,
to read.
I do not know if we'll actually read in May, because it's been weird.
I'm pretty confident about my comics, not everything else.
I'm not confident in general, because my reading mood has just been like all over the place. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I want to read everything, and then other days I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go 14 days watching lots of anime and not reading a thing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. Going 14 days, watching an anime, and reading just fanfic.
And reading just fanfic.
Listen, if we could count fanfic into the, like, I would have already completed my reading goal. Like, that is the level. But anyway, in this time of social isolation, we hope you guys are still doing well.
That is true.
We hope we brought you some cheer to your day.
A little bit of cheer.
I mean, usual.
It's certainly perking. It's certainly perking us up to sort of like just be random and crazy.
And to have conversations with you guys online.
So online.
So we hope you're well. If you've read any of the books on our TBR or plan to read them, let us know. We'd love to hear it. And also don't forget to check out all the details for Medievalathon, the Asian Readathon, and the Tome Topple Readathon. I think it's around 11 now for that one. It's all going to be in the description box below, and we'll see you with a new video next week. Bye!
Bye.